Welcome back as we continue our preseason look at the 2023 NFL draft class as we talk about the other pass catchers in this draft, being the tight ends. I already got a ton of other prospect rankings on the channel, being wide receiver, corner, edge, so on and so forth. But this has been a ton of fun, and I'm just hoping to give y'all a watch list going into the college football season. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know so. And without further ado, let's go ahead and do the gosh darn thing and look at my number 10, Josh WHYLE out of Cincinnati. He's a former 3-star recruit from the 2018 class. He played 4 games in 2018 before deciding to redshirt and really didn't see significant playing time until 2020. And has really been a secondary option when it came to the offense the last 2 seasons. Now, I love his length. I love his hops. They're very impressive. He has this big catch radius and will beat defenders to the catch point. He was 6 of 11 on contested catches between 2020 and 2021. Combine that with his body control, it really makes him a deadly threat in the red zone. His speed is deceptive, and if given a free release, like, this guy could just blow by defenders. He sees the ball into his hands and shoots upfield in one motion. I like that. I like the fluidity. He has been a consistent chain mover for the Bearcats. 35 first downs on 54 receptions between that time of 2020 and 2021, where he actually saw some playing time. And he runs standard tight end route tree, which is fine. I like that. He's put on weight since 2020. I'm curious to see if that will result in better blocking, which we could go ahead and talk about some of the cons. He may have been a much better blocker in 2021. It still seems he lacks the strength and the anchor to do it in the NFL. He latches inconsistently and just doesn't do much when faced with contact actually as a pass catcher. 5 forced missed tackles on 56 career receptions. He has some focus drop issues, or at least he did last season, but I'm not all too concerned with that, considering his ball skills, especially around the red zone. But big fan of WHYLE. I know Alex from Hail Mary Podcast, Hail Mary Sports, is as well. And I bring him up a lot because we've been talking about these prospects all summer. On to number 9. This one's a projection. It's THEO Johnson out of Penn State. 6'6", 256. Ridiculous athlete. Like, first off, 4-star recruit from the 2020 class. He played in 7 games his freshman season, only making 1 start. And then he appeared in all 13 games last year, making 6 starts. So might be the full-time starter this season. And it's just what he can do as a pass catcher, because that's what really is going to catch my eye for a tight end. We're kind of like past this point in the NFL where it's like we need them to be good blockers. It's not necessarily the case, and with THEO Johnson, that's something I kind of noticed, that he could maybe add some more bulk to that frame, or even get a little bit lower out of his stance to hold up better as a blocker. But oh man, excuse me. But keep in mind, we're pulling from a very small sample size. So maybe he ends up being a better blocker this year than we anticipate. Guy that could easily also return and go, come out in the 2024 NFL draft class. But this guy's a wonderful athlete. Like, he can be elite for the tight end position. He has a great frame and just flies off the line of scrimmage. He has no problem getting off the line, shows quick feet as a route runner. He is slick out of his breaks and creates separation with ease. He is a mismatch nightmare for linebackers or safeties. His length and large hands just makes him very dangerous at the catch point. And after the catch, he is very powerful and can be hard to bring down. He's got a pretty decent stiff arm as well. And he also has the agility to make guys miss. Like, he has the build to develop into a better blocker. And hopefully when we see more of him this year, he's a guy that could inch his way up this list, and a guy I really wanted to talk about in terms of if I was going to project a guy By the way, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. And the popular thing now to do on YouTube, if you really support the channel, is to share the video. So go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead, get back to the nitty gritty. And then Cameron LATU coming in at number 8. He's had a bit of an interesting history, as he's a former 4-star recruit from 2018 class, but he was mainly a linebacker in high school, but did play some offense, having 24 receptions for 346 yards and 3 TDs in his last 2 seasons of high school. He ended up redshirting at Alabama, and that's when he converted from linebacker to tight end. And he was primarily special teams in 2019 and 2020, but took advantage of really kind of a dog water situation with Jaleel Billingsley, just his tumble down the depth chart. And LATU was just very good last year. Very good. Also played rugby in high school, so that might lead to, you know, why he's we'll get into it, but I mean, him being a former linebacker, like you could tell this guy's got that physicality to him. But anyway, he's more of this traditional tight end. He does a good job as a blocker. Like I said, you could see that mean streak, that nasty demeanor as a blocker, and he flows very well to the second level with ball carriers to kind of clear the way. I love the nasty mentality. He's tough to bring down and will knock guys down with his shoulder as a pass catcher. And like straight up, man, he does a great job of just selling his routes, or even like as a like kind of a pause blocker, where, like, you know, he'll block and then go out for a route, whether it's like in the flats or such. He does a good job there. He's a better route runner than you'd expect from a former tight end or former linebacker. And man, dude, he's just so good at catching through traffic, and it was something he just gradually just continued to get better as the year went on. Again, immense special teams experience is a plus, and I'm sure that's going to be very alluring. But let's talk about some of the cons when it comes to him, because I do have a 5th round grade on him. Now, while he is a plus athlete, he's nothing special for the tight end position. He really only has one move after the catch, and it's like lower the shoulder, and you're gonna eat all these pads. That's basically it. Even if he is going to break a tackle, he needs to get rolling first, and it could take a minute before he really gets up to not even necessarily top speed, but speed in general. So really, there's nothing natural, I would say, about him as a pass catcher. He had a 13.3 drop rate in 2021, but you could see strong hands, that he is a work in progress, and something that he did get better as the year went on. And yeah, no, I like LATU. I think he's going to be a good day 3 prospect. Then on to number 7, I got Darnell Washington out of Georgia. This cat is good. He is big. He's a former 5-star recruit from the 2020 class, and he was immediately used as like an extra blocker for Georgia, and has been used as a blocker on 62% of his career snaps. The dude is a locomotive. He's not going to go down early, but when when he gets going, good luck bringing him down. Like, really, he has a good frame to box out guys at the catch point. He was 5 of 9 on contested catches last year, and he's got that sturdy build. He's tough to break down. I mean, look at him, 6'7", 265, and like, he's gonna be making his money as a blocker, man. He might be one of the best blockers, at least in terms of his frame, in this class. He's physical, he's violent, he's relentless with his hands. He'll maul defenders into the ground. He's very, very strong at the catch point, and could be a nightmare in the red zone. Man, if this cat gets to the second level, man, he's gonna be tough to bring down, tough to handle. But he does have limited upside as a receiver. And His hands can be inconsistent. There were a few focus drops on film. He has a 15% drop rate through his career and only 17 receptions like through his career. So, I mean, this might be the reason why teams might not decide to draft him. Like all his speed is straight line. He lacks the wherewithal to kind of like sit on routes and loses the sideline. And maybe where he is at the back of the end zone, he kind of like loses where he's at. You can see the receiving prowess just isn't there from that standpoint. But nah, dude, this dude's gonna be making his money as a blocker. And again, with that build, he offers a little something as a tight end in the red zone. So if you're looking for a good tight end 2, tight end 3, he is your guy. And then this one, it's not really a projection, but it's kind of. Benjamin YUROSEK out of Stanford. A bit undersized at 232, but he is putting on weight. The guy's young. He's a former 4-star recruit from the 2020 class, and he played all 6 games as a freshman during the shortened season, mainly on special teams. He became the starter the following year and was a third-team All-Pac-12 in 2021. Also played basketball in high school, which you can kind of tell, like he's a pretty smooth athlete. But yeah, no, like the basketball background, it just shows. The feet are quick. He can stun defenders at the top of routes. He uses his hands very well. He can play through contact. He can box guys out at the catch point. He was 8 of 14 on contested catches this past season. Stanford, they really loved putting him in the slot. He was in the slot almost 60% of the time. But yeah, no, they like to put him in motion as well so he could get open quickly. He was a menace up seams. He had 15 receptions for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns on throws of 10-plus yards, targeting the center of the field. Stanford, they really like using him as a downhill blocker, this like H-back, if you will. And he plays with a high motor, plays till the whistle. Like the issues with him, he's kind of a work in progress as a blocker and just really needs to add the weight first and foremost. There will be times he sets and gets murked on swim moves. He doesn't really control engagement, and he's a bit inconsistent when trying to latch on. He also just needs to add power to the upper body. His strikes don't really have much behind him, but in terms of a receiving threat, man, he's got it. He has got it. Now let's go to my top 5, and we're going to start with Sam LAPORTA from Iowa, former 3-star recruit from the 2019 class. He saw a big jump in playing time during his freshman season and ended the season as a starter. And he has been a starter really ever since. He has a track and field background and a basketball background. And this dude just has a very good receiving skill set. Like, he shows burst out of his breaks and is a very crisp route runner. He is a mismatch nightmare and consistently separates. I love that. He has a little shiftiness and jitteriness to him as a ball carrier. 10 forced missed tackles on 53 receptions in 2021. He's got a sturdy base, allows him to absorb contact relatively easy from players in the secondary. Tracks the ball well in air, and he adjusts well to poorly passed balls, which he was getting quite a bit of if you're familiar with Iowa's quarterback. But this dude catches in traffic well too. But right now, probably the biggest concern maybe as a run blocker, he just lacks the length and there isn't very much pop in his hands. And honestly, for me personally, like the biggest thing that I'm watching for is he's a bit plodding off the line. And I'd really like to see that drop rate come down, as between 2020 and 2021, he was at 9.3%, which you want to stay under that 10%, but getting close to it still throws up a red flag for me. But I can see why a lot of people really like this cat. Number 4, I got JAHEIM out of South Carolina, former 3-star recruit from the 2020 class. He played both tight end and receiver in high school. Tore his ACL during his senior year, and he only played in 4 games in 2020, and he saw most of his action in 2021 alongside Nick Muse. If you were familiar with him, he was the other tight end there at South Carolina, former William and Mary transfer. But he put his name on the map in that bowl game versus North Carolina, where he finished with 5 receptions, with 2 of them being touchdowns. He finished with over 100 50 yards. It was just bonkers. He's a wonderful receiver. He has some of the best hands in this class. Only 3.2% drop rate last year. He tracks the ball well in air, and he shows good coordination following the ball with his eyes as it enters his hands. He knows where the ball is going to be and displays great body control when adjusting to the pass. Always catches the ball with his hands, and he's very fluid when turning upfield. I love his speed. I love the athleticism. He gets off the line very well. He forces defenders to pause with head fakes and shoulder fakes. He can carry defensive backs to the end zone and really does have a mean streak. Like this dude, he hits with that LT stiff arm. If you don't know, it's basically like a haymaker jab. But 13 forced missed tackles on 13 receptions in 2021, and he literally lined up everywhere for the Gamecocks. Now, he is a bit of an awkward size at 6'3", 230. He's too big to be a receiver and too small to be a traditional tight end. He was used more as an H-back role, but didn't line up in the backfield as a blocker too often, unfortunately. Like, he's got the build, just South Carolina didn't use him a lot in that aspect, and now they bring in Austin Stogner, who is very similar, just a bit better size in that regard. But yeah, as a blocker, his game just lacks power to hold blocks against linemen. Like, short arms, they don't help either, but such a wonderful athlete, very wonderful athlete as a pass catcher that, yeah, man, I'm a fan. And then I got Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. A very interesting background on this cat, as he only played 1 year of high school football, and it was at receiver, and then he attended the University of San Diego, where he moved to receiver. He saw a significant increase in snaps from his freshman to his sophomore season, where he led all tight ends in FCS in yards per catch, which was 19. He finished the season with 44 receptions, 835 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Did I say? I think I said he converted to receiver. He converted to tight end, excuse me. But yeah, no, he then decided to transfer to Utah in 2020 and enjoyed a breakout campaign in 2021 where he had 36 receptions for 510 yards and 8 touchdowns. Like, this dude's just such a dangerous receiving option as a tight end, being a former receiver. He's explosive off the line, creates separation out of his breaks, hasn't had a drop pass since joining Utah. He displays very strong hands. He was 7-9 at the contested catch point in 2021. He just looks like a natural as a receiver and can shift gears throughout his route. He can fluctuate his speeds throughout his route. As a blocker, he does a lot of things well. He can sink his hips, deliver strong blows, but by no means is he an elite blocker. But in terms of being a receiver, though, oh my goodness, like, the dude's good. He's a receiving tight end through and through, and really does need to add a little bit more muscle to his frame, as he is still a bit of a work in progress as a blocker. He does a lot of things well at the beginning of the rep, but just needs to be a better finisher overall. He needs to do a better job of latching on and dictating momentum. As he gets stronger, I think those things will come easier to him. He ran the pretty basic tight end route tree there for Utah, drags, hitches, crossers, and such. But he has the ability to do so much more. He doesn't do much after the catch. He averaged 4.3 yards after the catch, which was tied for 77th among tight ends in college football. So another area where after the catch, maybe he can work on. But no, I came out really liking this cat because I watched a lot of Brant Kuithe, another Utah tight end. If you want to call him that, he's more of a jumbo slot. But watching those two, I mean, oh, man, it was fun. It was fun. And then I got 2 first-round wide receivers, and we're going to start with my number 2 being Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. So, yeah, number 1's going to be a bit divisive, but former 4-star recruit out of the 2020 class, saw playing time almost immediately as a freshman, passing Tommy Tremble on the depth chart. And if you're not new to the channel, you know I was a big fan of Tremble. He remained the starter in 2021. Might not be the most explosive guy, but he's got very quick feet, uses his hands pretty well during the route, and he can just stack defenders on any given route, uses his arms to on his breaks to really get that separation. Speed, like his speed is very deceptive. Like by no means is he like a slow plodding tight end, and he does a good job of switching gears throughout the route. He's been a consistent chain mover. 73% of his receptions in 2021 went for first downs or touchdowns. 4% drop rate. The hands, they're soft. He can make catches in close quarters. He was 13 of 23 on contested catches in 2021. A very good pass protector, but really like just using him in that way is just kind of, a waste. But yeah, no, he's shown good full body strength and has been a very solid run blocker there for the Fighting Irish. Now, he's not like generational. I'll just say that. He's not generational. He's not Kyle Pitts at tight end. But he's like, at least in terms of an athlete. Like that's not what he is. It's not who he's going to be. And as a run blocker, he can be a bit more consistent with with how much power he puts into his strikes. Kind of nitpicking, but like overall very solid. There's definitely a gap between him and guys like Kincaid and Bell and LAPORTA. And then my number one, let's go ahead, get with it. It's ARIK Gilbert out of Georgia, and I know he didn't play last year, and that's one of my big red flags. And there's a few red flags here, but it's just he has the skill set to be a generational tight end. Like he's a former 5-star recruit from the 2020 class. He had a very good year for LSU his freshman season, and then he decided to transfer, but he didn't play for Georgia in 2021 for personal reasons. There was a fear that he might not return. He was rumored to be 300 pounds when he showed up for winter workouts, but he showed up to spring practice at 260. I didn't list his size at 260 because I typically go with what they're listed on the team's website. But he looked so dangerous in the spring game. Looks like they'll probably use him as like a big slot or even wide receiver at times. The dude's athleticism and frame is just, it has a chance to be generational. Like he has soft hands, 5% drop rate in 2020 again. Did play in 2021, so I'm pulling all this from his 2020 tape. He was always first at the catch point. He was 7 of 13 on contested catches. On oncoming defenders, won't break his focus on the ball, and he has the build just to eat contact there at the catch point. I don't think there's a better player at the catch point in this class. He has that decent. He's pretty decent after the catch. He's got good elusiveness, but there are times like there are times it looks like he just wants to be a power back and he just tries to run through. Tackles, he had 9 forced missed tackles on 35 receptions back in 2020. I like how he uses his hands as a blocker, and it's just like he's not going to be used in line there at Georgia. I mean, dude, they got Darnell Washington there, and keep in mind they also have the first tight end off the board in 2024 in Brock Bowers. Now, the red flags. Gilbert isn't Kyle Pitts. He isn't. But he's pretty darn close, I would say. He has a lot of work to do as a run blocker. He doesn't always get low when lining up to block, and he also takes bad angles which kind of explains why he was only used, while he was mainly used in the slot there for LSU. I'm glad to see that he was there playing in the spring game. I'm curious to see what he will weigh in. Will the weight thing be something that you have to monitor in the NFL? But obviously, those are the big concerns. Will he play? Looks like he will. And how does he manage his weight? But the dude is a wonderful prospect. I put him top 20. I'm willing to bet on just the traits, the ability. So kind of a projection, but I feel like it's a bit safer as long as he plays. I'm not nervous, you're nervous, but I'm a big fan. There were a lot of guys that I got ranked that missed out here, and I'll just mention a few. That way, if you want to mention guys that I didn't talk about, you can do that in the comment section below. But there was like Luke Musgrave, who's fine, brings special team experience. think he could be a better blocking tight end. And then you got ARIK All from Michigan, who is a blocking tight end. I talked about Austin Stogner earlier in the video, but he's a guy that's he feels more, like, despite his build, plays more like an H-back. There's Isaac Rex, who I'm just curious what his age is because he went on a mission trip in 2017. Jaleel Billingsley has so much to prove that in good faith, and if I'm being honest, like, I didn't feel comfortable putting him in my top 10. Brant Kuthi I've never really been high on, just because, again, is another guy that he's like Kyler Granson to me. Kylan Granson. Will Mallory from DAU, my Hurricanes. I'm not a fan. I'm just not. There's other guys that I'm hoping to get to before I wrap up my summer deep dive. Guys like Payne Durham out of Purdue. Hadn't watched him yet. There's Marshawn Ford. Haven't got to him yet. I threw Daniel Barker on here. He's trying to think where he transferred from, but now he's at Michigan State. He's probably a UDFA, but I threw him on there just because I'm going to have to get around to him eventually, so why not do it before the summer, and why wait till the end of the year? And then there's Trey Knox, who converted from wide receiver to tight end last year. So those are like the next guys I got to go back through and watch. So just let me know some other guys in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing, and as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.